A very good afternoon and warm welcome to all of you to Cricket South Africa's Introduction to Umpiring course. My name is Tom Mokorosi. I am a Cricket South Africa National First Class Panel Umpire, and my co-presenter for the course is Abdullah Steenkamp, who is also a Cricket South Africa National First Class Umpire. We will be taking you through 3 lectures. You are part of the Thursday class. Today will be lecture number 1. Next week, Thursday, the 11th of September, will be lecture number 2. And the following Thursday, the 18th of September, will be your 3rd and final lecture. And then we will have an online exam window period that will last for 10 days from the 19th to the 29th of September. On display at the moment are the meeting protocols for this and all 3 of our lectures. You will notice that I have not yet deactivated your cameras and your microphones. That is because joining us this afternoon is the assistant project lead for the NYS project that Cricket South Africa is running in conjunction with the National Youth Development Agency, the lady who is making all of this happen, Nomagugu Moyo. I hope Noma is with us and she can please take us through a formal welcome and introduction to this course, as well as the NYS program in general. Noma, good afternoon. Welcome. The floor is yours.
Hi, Tom. Thank you so much for the introduction. Like I said, I normally steer clear from that title. It comes with a great deal of responsibility. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. As Tom has already said, my name is Norma, and thank you for registering to be part of this Intro to Umpiring course, which is just one of the courses that we'll be offering for the next sort of 5 months as we go through our NYS phase 4. We really want to encourage you guys, first of all, to grab this opportunity with both hands as identified umpiring. So I mean, post 6-month period, once you have gone through the different levels, as Tom has already alluded, there will be an examination period, and for those that are successful will have an opportunity to then do level 1, and post level 1 there'll be an opportunity to have a practical session. And what we would like to do with individuals that have gone through all those stages, at the end of that, we would like to actually place you at our different hubs and RPCs where you would be able to stand at matches and actually get some remuneration for your time that is spent doing that. So we hope for those that don't already have an interest in cricket, that this actually cultivates that interest and actually becomes something that you can create a real career out of. Believe me, Tom is all over the world. I've got no idea which part of the continent he is on, if he's even on the let's just rather say which part of the planet he is on currently. So it comes with a great deal of benefits and travel and all sorts. So Tom, I'll let you speak a little bit more about that and share a little bit more about all your travels and escapades. But guys, this is a real opportunity here. If you intend on seeing the world, grab this opportunity with both hands. Enjoy the sessions and enjoy the next 6 months. We look forward to working with all of you. Thank you so much and all the very best.
Thank you very much, Norma. And I hope that the candidates are significantly inspired. I am indeed not in home at the moment. I am in an island country off the coast of Angola called St. Helena, and I am busy training their 25 umpires to certify them with ICC's level 1 cricketing certificate, umpiring certificate. So yes, there are opportunities all around the world in cricket umpiring. And through the National Youth Development Agency and Cricket South Africa's program, you have all the opportunities in the world that are cricket related. I, of course, presenting this umpires course, would love you to take your umpiring career as far as possible. And I hope that Abdullah and I can inspire you in the next 3 weeks to start your journey as an umpire. So as mentioned, these are the lecture dates and times. The Thursday class is class 3, and our lectures will be same time for the next 3 Thursdays. The exam is a multiple choice and true or false 35-mark question paper, which is available online, up to 5 attempts for all of you to achieve the pass mark of 80%. In lecture number 3, we will be going through a click-by-click demonstration of how to register and start answering the exam. If you do have any questions along the way while we are presenting, you are welcome to type your questions into the chat box. And at the end of today's presentation, we will open the floor up to questions and answers. If you would like to ask your question live, you can merely raise your virtual hand. And at the end of the lecture, after we've answered all the questions in the chat box, we will then take live questions by hand. So to start off the course, I thought it would be a great idea to play a video worth of inspiration. Before we do that, this is just the formal introduction of myself and Abdullah. Abdullah, pictured in the bottom left hand corner of the screen, as mentioned, is on Cricket South Africa's National First Class panel. And last season, he was awarded the Cricket South Africa's Umpire of the Year award, which he collected at Cricket South Africa's awards on the 31st of July this year. Myself, as mentioned, I am an International Cricket Council Umpire Master Educator for Africa. So when I'm not on the field, I am busy training umpires all over Africa. Between Abdullah and I, we've got over 30 years of umpiring experience and over 15 years of training umpires. So I believe that you are in good hands to help you through the introduction course, level 1, and the practical that is planned for all level 1 passes in November 2025. So this is what I want to inspire you with. This is a short documentary of a day in the life of a elite ICC International Cricket Council umpire. This was shot on location. If I can just ask all of you to please mute your microphones while we go through the presentation. Okay. So I'm going to play the video. It was shot on location in the Caribbean, one of the countries that was hosting the ICC Men's T20 World Cup in June 2024. And what's significant about this video, it has a South African umpire, Alaudin Palika, and a Black African Zimbabwean umpire, Langton Rusere. So it shows you that it is possible for anyone in the world, from where you are sitting, someday you could end up at a World Cup with such a beautiful setting for you to enjoy. Let's watch the video and then we will get started with the laws of cricket shortly afterwards.
Hit the gym in the morning before breakfast, then have a long breakfast with the colleagues. I mean, basically, it's a relaxed day. Number one priority is to have a good rapport with all the team members, your on-field partner, third umpire, fourth umpire, coaches, match referee. So I think it's a team effort. If we want to have a successful game, it always has to be a team effort. It cannot be individual brilliance. Just like to open my stuff, go to the ground, choose our ends.
I'm a taller, so longest wicket is mine, and he's a short guy, so short one his. So whichever side it comes, it means I'm there and he will be there. We don't use coin.
Then we have a small casual chat with the ground staff if any weather is expected, have a word with the fourth umpire if he has anything for us, and then just come back again, get ready, mic up, and then be in the zone before the game.
Well, a little bit of history this evening here in Antigua, because it's the very first time in T20 internationals that Namibia and Australia are playing off against each other. I've got the captains out with me at the moment and our match referee as well, Jeffrey Streeter. Thank you for joining us. Mitch, give us your best style. Tails is the call. Heads it is. Australia wins. That's handy. What are you going to do and why?
I'm going to bowl first.
If we have butterflies, it means we are ready for the game. But if don't, it means we are not normal.
Go, let's see what happens.
Let's go. Yes.
You're walking with us, are you? Yeah. You're in the front and we'll be at the back.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
Hi, umpires, off you go, please.
Have a good game, guys.
Cheers. Thanks, Mark.
Ready to go then. Match 24.
Outside, you think?
Fair delivery.
No, he didn't hit it. I'm worried about outside, but I'm happy to go with you. I can't tell.
10 seconds.
Have a look if you want.
And why not with 4 down? They're going to go upstairs, Australia.
Original decision on field is not out. I've checked the bowler's feet. It's a fair delivery. Let's start with front run, please. No gloves or bat involved. Let's go to ball tracking when ready, please. Original decision is not out. Pitching outside off, impact outside off, and impact over 3 meters. Stay with the original not out decision. Stand by.
Acton Roseri, the TV umpire, just confirming that Menon got it right on field. He's got 4 foul.
What a professional performance by Australia.
It's fantastic. Excellent.
The team is allowed to roll the pitch between innings for a maximum of 7 minutes. So I've got to just monitor that and check the timings and see that the pitch is in the same condition as it was before the game.
It's a wonderful swing of the bat all the way. That is a comprehensive win to Australia by 9 wickets in the 6th over.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Well done, Langton. Well done.
Well done, Lang.
Hello. Good finish, early finish.
Very happy.
Well, I think just quite simply, you did what you needed to do tonight. I thought communication between the two of you was really good. One of those games, you were very professional on the field and come out of it well.
Umpiring for me is a passion, and now it becomes a profession. We are lucky to see the whole world. This is fabulous, actually.
So that's the dream, ladies and gents. That is the pinnacle of umpiring in the world. Those 20 top umpires were part of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup in the USA and the Caribbean last year, June. That is something for all of you to aspire towards, and your journey starts right here, right now. Before we get into the laws of cricket, and there are 42 laws of cricket, in this course we will be going through 40 of them. Law 41 and law 42 we deal with in levels 2 and level 3. If you join us for those in later years, part of your umpiring career, we will unpack those last 2 laws for you. But in the law book, before you even get to law number 1, there is a preamble called the spirit of cricket. So what is the spirit of cricket? The law book tells us that cricket owes much of its appeal and enjoyment to the fact that it should be played not only according to the laws, but also within the spirit of cricket. The major responsibility for ensuring fair play rests with the captains, but extends to all players, umpires, and especially in junior cricket, it extends to teachers, coaches, and parents. So we all have a role in playing the game within the spirit of cricket. The law book goes on to tell us that respect is central to the spirit of cricket. As players, you need to respect your captain, your teammates, the opponents, and authority of the umpires. Play hard, but play fair, and accept the umpire's decisions. Let's watch another video that's going to have former and current international players give their opinion as to what exactly the spirit of cricket is.
Well, the spirit of cricket is about going out there, giving your all 100%, fighting against the opposition, but doing it with a smile on your face and doing it with enormous respect for the beautiful game of cricket.
Bowled him. Middle stump. The way you conduct yourself on and off the field, it's about respecting the opposition, respecting the game.
You embracing the game, yes, but also how you play the game, what example you are for young kids growing up.
Big shout, and he's gone as well.
I think the spirit of cricket is about respecting the traditions of what's been before us and those who have been before us as well. And as cricketers, we've got a duty to make sure we uphold those.
You know, you let your skills go to work when you play, but you treat each other and the game itself, which has been around a lot longer than us, with respect, and you hope that you leave it in a better place than what you started with.
Playing it hard, playing it fair, and you're representing your country, and we're very, very privileged. You should cherish that.
It's obviously competitive. No professional international sport isn't, and you would never want to lose that competitiveness from any of the players, because that's what makes the game as good as it is. But it's obviously a line in terms of doing it the right way and doing it the wrong way, and I think it's one of the important things when trying to, I guess, inspire people to play the sport.
Yeah, just conducting yourself in a way that probably your parents and your grandparents would want you to. I think that's probably the easiest way to describe it.
Obviously, after what happened in South Africa, you know, I know those guys really well, and I know that they're not proud of that, and they made a mistake. And unfortunately, that's something they're going to have to live with, because at the end of the day, he made a mistake, but he's still a very good person.
Everybody will make a mistake at some point in their career, but it's about repairing those mistakes in future games and learning from your mistakes.
Yeah, there's no doubt about still being competitive and still wanting to win, but yeah, certainly you can win and lose in the right manner.
But I think out of that, you know, we've thought a lot about just respecting the game and everything around the game, and just putting the focus back on just playing the game.
It was a really closely fought semi-final, kind of went down to the wire, and you obviously kind of have a moment of celebration, but then your thought quite quickly turns to the opposition. It's obviously not something you think out or anything like that, it just kind of seemed like the right thing to do at that time.
We lost a test match against England, which was a cracking test match, I thought. Played between two very, very good cricket teams, playing aggressively but playing in the right spirit. And after that test match, we sat in the English dressing room, as the losers do. They go through to the winners' dressing room and shared a beer with them, and for me it was just encapsulated everything which was good about the game.
I remember the Ashes Test match in 2005.
For me, the most iconic one is the 2005 Ashes, when Freddie Flintoff obviously consoled Brett Lee.
When he was sitting down and when Flintoff went to him and shake his hand, I think that's the spirit of cricket for me.
Yeah, that for me is the iconic moment. Kind of the result obviously went England's way, but he took the time to console a bloke that had put in a hell of a performance.
It'll be something like, I want to tell you, I've got great admiration for you and the way you guys played this match.
So sure, you know, you respect for the opposition. End of the day, it's just a game of cricket, but I think that's the spirit of cricket for me.
But you actually, together, you sit down together, and that's the spirit of cricket. Friendship.
That's the spirit of cricket, friendship. And I hope all of you, throughout your years of playing the game, administrating, coaching, umpiring, whatever career path you choose in cricket, that you end up building relationships that will be lifelong for all of you. Let's now watch a video of a real match situation where the spirit of cricket came to the fore. It was a very competitive game between Nepal and Ireland because it was a World Cup qualifier. So lots of financial reward on the line for qualifying for a World Cup. But here we saw the spirit of cricket come to the fore.
Looks to hike that across the line. Andy McBride has ended up on his feet. I don't think they're going to run him out here, and that is brilliant to see. Asif Sheikh, take a bow. We speak so often about where the spirit of cricket has gone in our game, and you see it on show there, because Kamal Singh Irie has accidentally tripped up Andy McBride, and I've got goosebumps here in the commentary box because that's a touching moment. It was accidental, but he could have run him out here, and Asif Sheikh has said no. He said he's not going to do it because of the spirit of the game. That's your nominee for the Spirit of Cricket Award for 2022 for the ICC. It's that young man, Asif Sheikh.
Massive respect for Asif there.
Here's this moment, the spirit of cricket moment. He's clearly tripped him, unintentionally albeit, and Asif Sheikh did the right thing. He had to think for a moment. It's only a split second he has. What was lovely to see, the turn, and he went back, and Andy McBride said thank you very much. He went over and shook his hand, and he said you've done the right thing, and equally the same from Sandeep Lamachani. Brilliantly led. There's two young inspirational men, Sandeep Lamachani and the man of the moment, Asif Sheikh.
So that's what we mean when we talk about playing the game with the spirit of cricket front of mind, not just worrying only about the result, but also how would your parents or grandparents expect you to behave in a difficult situation. So now we move on to the laws of cricket. And today we will be covering the first 15 laws of cricket in the Blue Book. I will be sending out a recording of this lecture as well as a link to download this entire presentation and also an electronic version of the law book after this lecture. The laws that we'll be covering today, I will go through laws 1 through to law 6. Then we will take a 15-minute break, and my co-presenter, Abdullah Steenkamp, will take us through laws 7 through to 15, and after which we will open the floor up to questions and answers. So what does the law book tell us about the players? I'm sure you all know the number of players permitted in a cricket side are 11 players. one of whom shall be captain. By agreement, a match may be played between sides of fewer than or more than 11 players, but not more than 11 players may field at any time. Quite often you have warm-up games between countries where they want to play all their batters and give them a chance to bat, and all their bowlers give them a chance to bowl. So you could end up with a case where South Africa in a match have 15 players either batting or bowling, which is fine. Law tells us as long as not more than 11 players field at any one point in time, that is within the laws of cricket. If during the match and for whatever reason a side is reduced to fewer than the original number of nominated players, the match shall continue as long as it is possible to do so under the laws or any agreements made before the toss. So let's talk about some of the agreements that we can come up with in Western Province Cricket Association club cricket playing conditions. These are additional to the laws. There is a ruling that if a team does not have 7 players at the field when the match is supposed to start, they will be granted 30 minutes grace period before the match has to start. So if the match is supposed to start at 10 a.m. and there are only 6 players from one particular team, we as umpires will wait until 10:30 for the 7th player and hopefully 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th players to arrive. If, however, there are only 6 players at 10:30 present at the field, then that team who is short will forfeit the match. That is a playing condition that has been added to the laws of cricket for Western Province Cricket Association club cricket rules. We also know that in mini cricket and in action cricket, I think there are 8 players per team. So depending on the tournament, the match, the league, we will have differing amount of players required to make up a team in that particular format. Earlier we spoke about the nomination of players. So how are players nominated for a match? We have what's called a team sheet, and on the right-hand side of the slide, we can see what a team sheet looks like that we use in Cape Town in Western Province Cricket Association club cricket matches. At the top, we used to have 2-day cricket. We still have 1-day 50-over limited cricket, and our T20 competition is called AMA20s. So you would tick which format the match is for the day that you are playing the game. What league is the match being played in? Where is the match being played? And what is the day's date? You would put the team's names starting with the home team, and then you would give the blank team sheet for either the scorer, the manager, the coach, or the captain of a team to fill in the names of the players who will be playing for each team. And at the bottom of the sheet, there is place for the names of both umpires to be written in. And the captains of both sides shall, at the toss, bring the team sheets to the umpires, and that will be the 11 players per team that will take part in the match. Quite importantly, no player may be changed after the team sheets have been presented at the toss, unless the opposing captain gives permission for changes to be made. Why would any team want to change their 11 after the team sheets has been submitted and the toss has been made? We will learn later in today's lecture that the toss takes place earliest 30 minutes before the scheduled start of play, latest 15 minutes before the start of play. So if a match is scheduled to start at 10 a.m., the toss can take place anytime between 9:30 and 9:45. So now, obviously, before a match, the players are warming up. It does sometimes happen that during the warm-up, after the toss, where the team sheets have been submitted, then a player gets injured in the warm-up before the match starts. That would be a scenario where the captain of the team who has had a player injured during the warm-up would ask the opposing captain permission to change the team sheet and bring in a replacement player who will take full part in the match. Can bat, can bowl, can keep wicket and field. If the opposing captain declines that request of a replacement player, then we as umpires can allow a substitute to field, but that substitute will not be allowed to bat and to bowl. So if the opposing captain refuses a replacement to bat, bowl, and take full part in the game, the umpires can allow a substitute to field in place of that injured player. So that's quite a bit of power in the hands of the opposing captain before the match starts. If at any time the captain is not available, a deputy shall act for him or for her. If a captain is not available to nominate the players, then any person associated with that team may act as his or her deputy to nominate the players. As mentioned, the team sheet can be filled in by a scorer, a coach, a manager, or anyone involved in that particular team. However, at any time after the nomination of the players, when the team sheet is submitted at the toss, only a nominated player can act as deputy in discharging the duties and responsibilities of the captain as stated in these laws, including the toss. So anybody can fill in the team sheet, but the person who brings the team sheet to the toss must be on the nominated playing list. So if your coach is not a player coach, he or she cannot attend the toss. It needs to be the captain, or in the absence of the captain, any one of the other 10 nominated players who will be taking full part in the game may attend the toss. So that's law 1 done. Now we move on to law 2, the umpires. Throughout the laws, you will notice that there is a relationship between the umpires and the captains that needs to be a good one for the game to flow. Law tells us that before the toss, the umpires shall meet with the captains and they will determine a few things together. The first thing that they'll determine is the balls to be used during the match. So if you don't have playing conditions that determine exactly the balls and exactly the times of the match, then you need to discuss this at the toss. And it is only fair that in any game of cricket, the ball that will be used by Team A, Team B will have a similar ball in terms of brand and type. So you cannot have Team A using a Kookaburra match ball and then you have Team B using a Indwe two-piece ball. They need to be the same brand and the same type of ball for both teams. Captains and the umpires also need to agree the hours of play and the times and duration of intervals. We also need to agree which clock is going to be used as the official timepiece for the match, and we should all synchronize our watches to that official clock. We also need to determine the boundary of the field of play and allowances for boundaries, including whether any obstacle within the field of play is to be regarded as a boundary. For example, some of your fields at your hubs might have soccer poles or rugby poles or hockey poles that are inside the field of play in terms of the cricket ground. So what happens if the ball hits one of those soccer poles? What happens when the ball rolls along the ground and hits the soccer poles? What happens if the ball flies in the air without a bounce and hits the soccer poles? Well, you are not the first umpire that has umpired in that match. And so there is a local custom at that ground as to what happens if the ball rolls along the ground and hits the soccer poles still inside the field of play. Is it a 4? Is it a 6? Or do the batters just carry on running? Similar to the ball hitting the poles on the full, is it a 4? Is it a 6? Or do we just allow the batters to keep running? Do not make up your own new rule. There will be a local custom. Ask the home captain at the toss what that local custom is when the ball hits the poles and confirm it and make sure that the away team is aware of that custom. You will also discuss the use of covers, because quite often what happens is if there's not enough ground staff for covers to be pulled, then both teams need to help in the case of rain during the match to cover the pitch. If the batting side is in a losing position, they will not be in a hurry to put the covers on. They will want that pitch to get rained on so that the match is rained out. So you need to be firm in your message to both captains at the toss that when it starts drizzling, the batting team need to walk towards where the covers are outside of the field of play. And as soon as the rain gets so heavy that covers need to be put on, the umpires will call for the covers to be put on, and the batting side will start pulling the covers onto the field, and then the fielding side will help to pull the covers as well. So very important that you get that message across, especially when there is rain forecast for the day. We also need to confirm any special conditions affecting the course of the match. So what is an example of a special condition affecting the course of the match? Many years ago, when the Queen of England was still alive, She wanted to watch an Ashes Test match between England and Australia at the home of cricket, Lord's Cricket Ground in London. With her schedule being so tight, the Queen of England could only meet the players at Lord's Cricket Ground at midday, 12 o'clock. Those of you who know the test match times in England, the morning session starts at 11 a.m. and goes on for 2 hours until 1 p.m. So normally there would not have been a break in play at 12 o'clock. But for that particular match, they made a special condition that there would be a 15-minute break at 12 for the Queen to come down from the pavilion, and on the ground she would meet and shake the hands of all the players, and then national anthems would be sang again, and she would walk back up to the pavilion, taking about 15 minutes. So I think what they ended up doing is they ended up extending that session to have the gap of 15 minutes in the middle, and then taking lunch. Instead of 1 p.m., they took lunch at 1:15, so that it was still a 2-hour session in terms of playing time. So that's an example of a special condition that affected a particular match many years ago. If your match has a special condition, then you need to communicate and confirm that up front at the toss with the captains. And then the scorers, we as umpires include them in our team. We call it the playing control team. All of these different agreements that are made at the toss between the captains and the umpires, they need to be communicated to the scorers so that at all times the scorers know why there's a stoppage in play and what time the stoppages will occur. Very importantly, the umpires shall be the sole judges of fair and unfair play. Not the captains, not the coaches, not anybody else. It is the umpires who are the sole judges of fair and unfair play in a game of cricket. What about the fitness of the field for play? Again, law tells us that it is solely for the umpires together to decide whether conditions of ground, weather, or light, or exceptional circumstances mean that it would be dangerous or unreasonable for play to take place. Conditions shall not be regarded as dangerous or unreasonable merely because they are not ideal. So if there's a light drizzle and the grass is a little bit wet and the ball is a little bit damp, it does not warrant the conditions as being unreasonable or dangerous. Until there's so much water on the ball that it becomes slippery and the bowler runs the risk of the ball flying, slipping out of the hand. That is when conditions would be regarded as dangerous. But 2 or 3 minutes of light drizzle, those conditions will not be considered as dangerous or unreasonable. So law goes on to tell us that conditions shall be regarded as dangerous if there is actual or foreseeable risk to the safety of players or umpires. And we will go through 4 examples of when conditions become dangerous. What about unreasonable conditions? Unreasonable conditions pose no risk to safety, but it would be sensible for play. It would not be sensible for play to proceed in the instance of a dust storm, for example. So in a dust storm, the players won't be able to see the ball. It's not necessarily dangerous, but it doesn't make sense to play because the players can't see the ball. So what do we need to look out for to consider conditions as dangerous? The bowlers, especially fast bowlers, need a landing surface when they are landing on their front foot in terms of bowling. They need reasonable, dry, and hard footholds. If their landing area is soft and wet and muddy, that would not be considered safe. It would be considered dangerous. The fielders need power of movement. So if, for example, a fielder tries to move left or right and they can feel the ground underneath their feet moving because it's so soft, that would be considered dangerous. The batters need to have the ability and freedom to play their shots and to run between wickets. So the square, for example, where the batters run just off the pitch, but still on the square, that cannot be muddy, because if it were muddy, then that would be dangerous for the batters to run on. If any of those conditions are muddy, wet, slippery, soft underfoot, then we would consider them as dangerous. And if conditions are dangerous or unreasonable, play will be suspended or cannot commence. Let's talk about positioning of umpires. The law starts with the bowler's end umpire and mentions that the umpire shall stand where he or she can best see any act upon which his or her decision may be required. Subject to this overriding consideration, the bowler's end umpire shall stand in a position so as not to interfere with either the bowler's run-up or the striker's view. So interestingly enough, it is not specific that an umpire at the bowler's end needs to stand directly behind middle stump. But you will learn in our practical sessions in November, those of you who pass the intro exam and pass the level 1 exam, we will teach you how to set up at the bowler's end, and it does require you to stand directly behind middle stump so that you can accurately judge leg before wicket decisions. What about the other umpire? The name for the other umpire is called the striker's end umpire. A lot of people refer to the striker's end umpire as the square leg umpire. However, law tells us here that the striker's end umpire may elect to stand on the offside of the pitch instead of the leg side of the pitch. Why? Because two reasons mainly. Could be that the sun is setting, and when you are standing on the leg side of the pitch at square leg, then the sun is in your eyes and you cannot see the popping crease that well. The other reason is you could have a short leg fielder who is positioned on the popping crease or just behind the popping crease and is blocking your view of the stumps at the wicketkeeper's end. So those are the reasons why a striker's end umpire would need to move from the leg side of the field to the offside, and law does allow for that movement or that change of sides, provided that the striker's end umpire informs 3 people. They need to inform the fielding captain, the batter on strike, as well as the other umpire. Let's move on to the signals that the umpires use, and I will go through each one of them, explaining any special way that you should or should not signal each one. The out signal, you can use your left hand or your right hand, whichever you're most comfortable with. Just stick to the same hand the entire match. What's important is your hand should be above your head height when you signal out. When you signal boundary 4, you need to finish your signal at your chest, not out wide, because if you finish your boundary 4 signal out wide, it looks like the no ball signal. Boundary 6, both hands to be raised above your head. You can show the palm of your hands. You can use fingers as well, like the gentleman on the graphic is doing. The buy signal, and we will figure out what all these signals means and what they are for in later laws. For now, we're just showing you what they look like. The buy signal is one hand up again above your head. This time you have to be showing the palm of your hand to the scorers. The leg buy signal, you need to turn square to the scorers, lift the leg that is closest to the scorers, and tap it with the corresponding hand. Short run, you signal by putting your hand on the corresponding shoulder. You can use your left hand or you can use your right hand. Wide ball, simply both arms outstretched horizontally. Dead ball, you need to cross your arms at waist height repeatedly. No ball, I've already shown you. Arm out horizontally, left arm or right arm, doesn't matter. The signal that we don't like to use as umpires is to cancel our previous signal. And then if you are umpiring a match of unlimited overs, in the event that a team bowls 80 overs, after the end of the 80th over, a new ball is available for the captain of the fielding side to request if and when he or she wishes to use it. So if and when the new ball, second new ball is requested, the umpire from which the first ball of that second new ball is going to be bowled from will raise the ball and show it to the scorers, and at the same time they will mention to the batters that the second new ball has been taken. Then we have 5 penalty runs that can be awarded to the batting side. If we award 5 penalty runs to the batting side, we tap our shoulder. Just remember, batting makes a tapping sound, so we tap the shoulder. If we award 5 penalty runs to the bowling side, we hold our shoulder with the opposite hand. Okay, so 5 penalty runs awarded to the batting side, we tap the shoulder. 5 penalty runs awarded to the fielding side, we hold the shoulder. And we will learn throughout the laws as to why and when a team would be awarded 5 penalty runs. Quite importantly, the umpire shall wait until each signal to the scorers has been separately acknowledged by a scorer before allowing play to proceed. For example, if we have 4 buys, we need to signal buys first and then wait for acknowledgement from the scorers that they've seen our signal of buys, and then we can signal boundary 4. We do not signal as per law. We do not signal more than one signal at a time. So make sure that you signal the separate signals in order that the events have occurred. Who makes which signals? Law tells us that all signals are to be made by the bowler's end umpire, except the first signal for short run, which shall be signaled by the umpire at the end where the short run occurred. So if the 2 batters or one of the 2 batters turned short for a second run at the striker's end, then the striker's end umpire will call and signal short run while the batters are still running. And then when the ball is dead, then the bowler's end umpire will turn around and signal short run to the scorers. And he or she will also inform the scorers how many runs were scored in that particular delivery. We will deal with the umpire's duties as well as how to differentiate between a deliberate short run and an unintentional short run later in the laws. Next law that I'm going through is law 3, the scorers. How many scorers for a match? Law tells us that 2 scorers, 1 per team, shall be appointed to record all runs scored, all wickets taken, and the number of overs to be bowled. Sometimes scorers for club cricket arrive to a very cold and windy day. They don't want to sit outside, they want to sit in their car. Very important, those 2 scorers need to sit together in the same car so that they can agree all the runs scored, all the wickets taken, and the number of overs as frequently as possible so that their records always agree. The scorers shall check frequently to ensure that their records agree, and at every interval they should agree the score or confirm the score with the umpires. We won't confirm the scores with the scorers during a drinks break because we don't go off the field during a drinks break. We go off the field during a lunch break, change of innings, and a tea break. And obviously the close of the day's play. At the end of the match, we also need, as umpires, to confirm that the 2 scorers are happy with the score and that we can declare the result as final. The scorers shall accept all instructions and signals given to them by the umpires and shall immediately acknowledge each separate signal. If you are going to be a scorer or if you are an umpire who has scorers sitting inside a clubhouse because they are too hot or too cold sitting outside, then please, the scorers must use, instead of just acknowledging the signal with their hand, they need to use a bright piece of paper or a book that is easily visible from far away behind a window. Because we find that just waving your hand behind a window that has got a sun shining on it, the umpires cannot see those scorers. They need to hold up a piece of paper or a book that is bright enough to shine through that window. Moving into law 4, the ball. The weight and size of a cricket ball. Let's first talk about the weight and size of the cricket balls used in men's cricket. The law tells us that the ball, when new, shall weigh not less than 155.9 grams, nor more than 163 grams. So there is a range that a cricket ball can weigh. It doesn't have to weigh exactly 163 grams. It doesn't have to weigh exactly 156 grams. It can weigh anywhere in between those two weights. Those of you who have seen cricket balls before, you will notice that on the ball, the manufacturer often writes the weight of that ball. And the common weight for cricket balls used in men's cricket is 156 grams. The circumference should be no less than 22.4 centimeters and no more than 22.9 centimeters. In women's cricket, the cricket balls used are a little bit smaller and lighter. There are your dimensions: minimum 140 grams, maximum 151. Circumference, minimum 21 centimeters, maximum 22.5 centimeters. In junior cricket, when I umpired in Cricket South Africa's boys under 13 national tournament back in 2009, they used a 135 gram weight ball. The penultimate law that I will be taking you through before we take a 15-minute break is law 5, the bat. Here's a picture of a few bats, and the description, I'm sure you all know, a bat consists of two parts: a handle at the top and a blade at the bottom. What can the handle be made out of? The handle is to be made principally of cane or of wood. The part of the handle that is wholly outside the blade is defined to be the upper portion of the handle. It is a straight shaft for holding the bat, and it can and usually is covered by a grip. Let's talk about the blade for a few minutes. The blade comprises the whole of the bat apart from the handle. And quite importantly, the blade shall consist solely of wood. Here we have a picture of an Australian former cricketer, Dennis Lillee, who in the first test match against England in December 1979 used an aluminium bat. At the time, there was no law stating what material the blade of a bat should be made of. I can guarantee you the very next day after this test match, the lawmakers added law 3.2 into the law books, saying that the blade shall consist solely of wood. So since then, since December 1979, no other material is allowed in the blade of a bat. What are the limits of sizes of bats? The overall length of the bat when the lower portion of the handle is inserted shall not be more than 96.52 centimeters. The blade of the bat shall not exceed the following dimensions. The width of the bat cannot be more than 10.8 centimeters. The depth of the bat, including the thickest part of the meat of the bat, cannot be more than 6.7 centimeters. And the thick edges that are now able to hit top edges for 6 cannot be more than 4 centimeters. Okay, so how do we as umpires check the limits of bats? We have got a contraption that's called a bat gauge, and a bat needs to fit through a bat gauge. This is what a bat gauge looks like. So that triangular top is for the back of the bat to fit through, and the edges are limited to 4 centimeters. So in total, I think the edges here are 4.1 centimeters, so that a 4 centimeter thick edge bat can go through. And of course, the width of a bat maximum is 10.8 centimeters. I think this bat gauge is 10.9 centimeters to allow a bat of 10.8 centimeters to go through it. So if a bat does not go through the bat gauge, what do we as umpires do? We do not confiscate that bat. The bat belongs to its owner. All we do is, with a black marker, we mark an X on that bat. And as umpires, we know to look out for when a batter is batting. We look out for any X's on any bats. Then we would tell them, that bat failed the bat gauge test. You cannot use it. Please change your bat and use a bat that does not have an X marked on it. The last law that I'm going through before we take a 15-minute break is law 6, the pitch. The pitch is a rectangular area of the ground, 22 yards or 20.1 meter in length, from the one set of stumps to the other set of stumps. Abdullah will take us through the creases after our break. The set of stumps are pitched on the bowling crease. So from bowling crease to bowling crease is a similar length as from middle stump to middle stump. What about the width of the pitch? The width of the pitch should be 3.05 meters wide. Who selects and prepares a pitch? Before the match, the ground staff shall be responsible for the selection and preparation of the pitch. During the match, the umpires shall control the use and maintenance of the pitch. Can we change the pitch? Law tells us that a pitch cannot be changed during the match unless the umpires decide that it is dangerous or unreasonable for play to continue on that pitch, and only with the consent of both captains can the pitch be changed. If we do not have consent from both captains, then unfortunately we will have to call that match off if we deem the pitch dangerous or unreasonable to play on it. What is the length of cricket pitches for junior cricket? The law doesn't specify a specific length. What it does specify is that the governing body for cricket in a specific country shall determine the length of the pitch for junior cricket. So I'm not sure what the length of the pitch is for mini cricket, but it certainly is shorter than 20.12 meters. That has been determined by Cricket South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all from my side for now. Abdullah Steenkamp, after the break, will take us through laws 7 through to law 15, after which we will open the floor up to questions and answers.
And I will be taking you through from law 7 right up until law 15. After I'm done, we will then open the floor for question and answers. So law 7 covers the creases, those lines on the pitch. And I can remember back in my playing days, and I played club cricket for a side in Cape Town for about 25 years. And for those 25 years, I called those lines that I saw on the pitches, I called them either lines or creases. It's only once I did my level 1 umpiring course did I find out that those lines or creases actually have names. And also, they have measurements as well. I was really surprised. And I'm going to take you now through what those names are of these creases and what the measurements are. So this is a pic of Senwes Park in Potchefstroom. And here you can see the lines that are drawn, and I'll just show you the names of the creases. This front line, this is called the popping crease. And then there's the bowling crease, and this is the line which the stumps are pitched in. And then there are two return creases, one on this side and then one on the other side. Yeah, so 3 names: popping crease, bowling crease, and return creases. There are 2 of them. So this diagram on the right hand side just confirming again the names of these creases, and you'll see that the bowling crease is the crease that the stumps are pitched in, and 2 return creases, and the front crease is called the popping crease. So now we know the names of these creases. Let's go to the measurements. Let's start with the measurement of the popping crease. There's a minimum length of 3.66 meters. All the law tells us, and it guides us, the popping crease just needs to be a minimum of 3.66 meters. It can be more, but the law just wants it to be minimum 3.66. When it comes to the return creases, the 2 of them, here the law tells us a minimum of 2.44 meters. So technically, the return creases can go right up until the boundary, similarly with the popping crease. But we don't usually draw them right up until the boundary. We just go about a minimum. The law tells us what it should be, and in terms of the return creases, 2.44 meters. And then the third crease, which is the bowling crease, here there is an exact measurement, and that exact measurement is measured from the inside edge of the return crease on the one side up until the inside edge of the return crease on the other side. And this exact measurement is 2.64 meters. So I prefer using the metric system. All measuring tapes are shown in metric, and it's an important piece of equipment that the umpires needs to have, and this is a very important job that the umpire needs to perform every single game. So that's why umpires needs to be at the field 45 minutes before play is about to start. If our game starts at 10 o'clock, by 9:45, 9:15, the umpires needs to be at the field. Why? There's lots of duties that the umpire needs to perform, and one of the duties is to make sure that the measurements of the creases are spot on and the creases are marked. So if I can ask just everyone to please mute their microphone. I can hear some background noise. Thank you so much for muting. So just to confirm again the measurements of these creases: bowling crease 2.64 meters, an exact measurement; popping crease minimum of 3.66, and the 2 return creases a minimum length of 2.44 meters. Another measurement that I want to point out is, and this measurement will help you derive two of the creases. The measurement from the back edge of the of the bowling crease till the back edge of the popping crease, that measurement is 1.22 meters. So what you can do with this measurement is, if you take this measurement of 1.22 meters and if you multiply it by 2, you get 2.44 meters. And which crease is 2.44 meters? Yes, the return crease. Then there's another measurement I can derive from this 1.22 meters. If I take 1.22 meters and I multiply it by 3, what do I get? 3.66 meters. And which crease is 3.66 meters? Yeah, the popping crease. So by just remembering this one measurement of 1.22 meters, I can derive the measurement from the popping crease. I can derive the popping crease measurement as well as the two return crease measurements. So yeah, we need to know this important duties. Every single game that you're going to officiate, you need to make sure that the measurements are correct. When it comes to the wickets, the width of the wickets, law guides us 22.86 centimeters. How long is the stumps? 71.12 centimeters, and you'll see looking at the arrows where the 71.12 centimeters are measured from, and there are also bails that gets put on top of the stumps. Are we allowed to remove the bails while play is in progress? Yes, the law allows for it, and this usually happens only in the instance where there are strong winds around and the wind keep on blowing the bails off. So not to waste time all day, the law allows for the umpires to remove the bails from the top of the stumps. And if you do decide to remove the bails from the top of the stumps, you then need to remove the bails from both ends, and later in the day or as soon as the wind dies down, please put the bails back on. It makes your life so much easier if there are bails on. If there's no bails on, your life will be difficult. But bails, ball hits the stumps, bails on the floor, yeah, better could be dismissed. Easy if there's bails on. Law 9 speaks about the preparation and the maintenance of the playing area. So what is the playing area? The playing area is the field of play. It's your outfield, and it's the pitch that the match is played on. So now Law 9 guides us on what we can do with the playing area, what we can do with the outfield, what we can do with the pitch after the game has started. So before the game has started, the curator and his or her staff, they can prepare the pitch and outfield as they see fit in getting it ready for your particular game. But once the game has started, here the law guides us on exactly what we can do with the outfield and what we can do with the pitch. So the laws of cricket covers more day cricket, cricket that gets like test match cricket where that spans over 5 days. Cricket South Africa's provincial Division 1 and Division 2 cricket spans over 4 days. And you get Colts cricket as well that spans over 3 days. And in those matches, test matches and the provincial matches in South Africa, the sides play 2 innings per side. So now, test match, I'll use that as an example, that spans over 5 days. So once the game has started, what are you allowed to do with the outfield and the pitch? So in Law 9, we're going to just focus on one area, and that is the pitch and also the rolling of the pitch. Once the game has started, what are we allowed to do in terms of rolling? and what do we not? When can we roll? And how long can we roll? Yes, the law guides us. The law tells us that when it comes to rolling, and this is now after the game has started. After the game started, you can only roll on 2 occasions. The first one is before the start of each subsequent innings and before the start of each subsequent day's play. We're going through the theory now. I'm going to use practical examples of exactly how this gets applied in, and I'm just use test match as an example, but the same principle will apply in whether it's a 4-day game or a 3-day game or even a 2-day game. So rolling of the pitch after the game has started, only allowed 2 occasions. The first one is before the start of each subsequent innings and then before the start of each subsequent day's play. And in terms of how long the rolling can take place, max of 7 minutes, not more than 7 minutes. So yes, captain can roll for 7 or 6 minutes or 5 minutes or 2 minutes, even 1 minute if the captain wants. It just depends on what the captain wants. So now we know how long, not more than 7 minutes, and we know when. So I'm going to give you practical examples of exactly how this happens. Before I get there, I want to go to the next slide, and I'll come back to the previous one. So here are rollers, and you'll find at most international grounds or even provincial grounds, they have more than one roller available. They'll have a big roller, the pick on the right hand side. The left bottom is a medium roller and the top left is a hand roller. So at most of these international and provincial grounds, you'll find more than one roller available. And if there is more than one roller available, the batting captain has the option to choose which roller they want. So to go back to this slide, I've mentioned rolling after the game has started is allowed before the start of each subsequent innings. Let's use a test match as an example. We just had a recently concluded test series between South Africa and Zimbabwe. So South Africa plays Zimbabwe, spans over 5 days, our test match. So day 1, let's say, starts at 10 o'clock. We'll see late in law 13, toss takes place. There's a 15-minute window for period for the toss. So between 9:30 and 9:15, toss will take place if there's a 10 o'clock start. So let's say in our game, South Africa win the toss and they elected to bat. So on day 1, game starts at 10 o'clock, South Africa batting first. Late in the day, let's say we get to 2:15 in the afternoon, Zimbabwe dismissed South Africa. They take all the 10 wickets. South Africa dismissed at 14:15, let's say for 280. So now with South Africa being dismissed, Zimbabwe now need to go bat in their first innings. So now the laws tell us before the start of the Zimbabwean innings, the captain do have the option to ask for rolling. They can get rolling. So practically what will happen, the umpires will go to the Zimbabwean captain and ask him or her, do you want rolling? And if you do want rolling, which roller do you want? Because we have 3 available. And then please confirm how long you want this rolling to be, because you can have it for a max of 7 minutes. And let's say the captain tells you, yes, umpire, I want rolling. Please give me the heavy one, and I want you to roll for the full 7 minutes. The umpires will relay that info to the curator, and the curator will then make sure that he or she uses the heavy roller and for 7 minutes, and the 4th umpire will supervise this rolling to make sure that they've used the heavy one and they comply with the minutes, not more than 7. So yes, the option is there for the batting captain, can take whichever roller they want, but they don't have to exercise the option. If the captain feels, no, umpire, I don't want rolling, absolutely no issue. You won't then do any rolling. So that's before the start of each subsequent inning. Similarly, if Zimbabwe gets dismissed and South Africa now needs to go bat in their second innings, the South African captain will have exactly the same option available. We will ask the SA captain, do you want rolling? If yes, which roller and for how long? So this is the one occasion where you can have rolling before the start of each subsequent innings. Then the second occasion is before the start of each subsequent day's play. So yes, play started on day 1 at 10 o'clock. So now the law tells us before the morning of day 2, whoever's batting at the time can have rolling. Before the morning of day 3, can have rolling. The morning of day 4, whoever's batting at the time can have rolling. Similarly, the morning of day 5, whoever's batting can have rolling. So practically what will happen is, let's say Zimbabwe is batting the morning of day 2 and we're starting at 10 o'clock. So now the law guides us by telling us when this rolling can take place before the start of the day's play. There's a 20-minute window period for this rolling to take place. So what will practically happen is Zimbabwe is batting the morning of day 2. Players usually get to the field 2 hours before play starts. Similarly with the umpires, play starting at 10, we will all be there about 8 o'clock. So what will then happen, the fourth umpire will go to the captain of Zimbabwe and ask the captain, Cappy, you're batting this morning, we're starting at 10, but please confirm for me, do you want rolling? And if yes, which roller do you want and how long? Let's say the Zimbabwean captain say, yes, Umpy, I want rolling. Please give me the medium roller this time. And then I want only 5 minutes of rolling. No problem. The fourth umpire will relay that info to the curator, and the fourth umpire will supervise this rolling. And the fourth umpire needs to make sure that this rolling happens in the window period. So if there's a 10 o'clock start, what is this window period for this rolling to happen? The window period is anytime between 9:30 and 9:50. So the fourth umpire will make sure that this 5 minutes of rolling that the captain chose and the medium roller, fourth umpire will supervise this 5 minutes with the medium roller, and it will be between 9:30 and 9:50. Does the law allow covering of the pitch? Yes, the law allows it. So before the match starts, it's up to the ground authority, the curator, he or she and the team. They need to make sure, and it's their responsibility to cover the pitch. But once the game has started, the law now guides us. The law tells us, as soon as the game has started, exactly what we need to do in terms of covering the pitch. The law tells us, firstly, that on each night on each night you need to cover the pitch. That's the first instance. I'll give you an example. What this means is, let's use our test match between South Africa and Zimbabwe. It spans over 5 days. So day 1 will start at 10, and let's say it ends at 5 o'clock. The next morning, day 2 will again start at 10 o'clock. So overnight, the evening of day 1, the law wants the curator to cover the pitch. That pitch needs to be covered overnight. So it will be covered on the evening of day 1. Same thing, evening of day 2, that pitch needs to be covered. You cannot leave the pitch open overnight. Anything can happen overnight. Similarly, day 3 needs to cover that pitch overnight, as well as day 4 at night. That pitch needs to be covered. Then also, in inclement weather, soon as it's raining, pitch needs to be covered. A law allows for pitch to be covered in inclement weather like rain. The law goes further by telling us how to cover the pitch. Please cover the whole pitch, the law tells us. And also 1.22 meters beyond the pitch at each end. So we know the length of the pitch is 20.12 meters. So the law tells us don't just cover 20.12, please cover 1.22 meters beyond. And then also, if possible, make sure that the bowler's run-ups are dry. So the law allows for bowler's run-ups to also to be covered. So now we know when the pitch needs to be covered. The law also tells us when to remove the covers. So I've just mentioned previous slide that overnight we need to cover the pitch. So now when we get there the next morning, the law tells us as soon as possible, please remove the cover from the pitch. And then also, if we did cover the pitch due to inclement weather, like let's say it was raining and we covered the pitch, as soon as the rain stops, please then also remove the covers. Excuse me. Law 1 speaks about intervals. Again, for the purpose of this course and also level 1, those of you who can do level 1, 2 and 3, we are covering more day cricket. An example of more day cricket is test match cricket and 4-day provincial cricket in South Africa, even Coles cricket that spans over 3 days. So when it comes to intervals, the law guides us here, and the law tells us there are scheduled intervals. What is scheduled intervals? These are intervals that are decided before the game started. So what are examples of these? First, period between close of play on day 1 and the start of the next day's play in the law, that is seen as a scheduled interval. I'll give you an example. Again, I'm going to go back to our test match. So on day 1, play started at 10 o'clock, and let's say play ended at 5 o'clock the afternoon. On day 2, play will again start at 10 o'clock in the morning. So the period between 5 o'clock when play ended on day 1 and the start of play 10 o'clock on day 2, that is seen as a scheduled interval as per the laws. Another scheduled interval is your interval between innings. Scheduled interval. And we'll see in the next slide how long this interval is going to be. Your interval for meals, like your tea interval or your lunch interval, a scheduled interval decided before the game. Interval for drinks, also a scheduled interval decided before the game, and any other agreed interval. So these are 5 examples of, and in the law they call them scheduled intervals. And these are intervals that were decided before the game started. So who decides on these intervals and their timings? The governing body of cricket for that particular competition. So if it's test match cricket, that's international cricket. The International Cricket Council, they're the governing body, and they decide these intervals and its length. So in test match cricket, when it comes to intervals for lunch or tea, our lunch interval, the ICC decided lunch to be 40 minutes. Our tea interval, 20 minutes. Drinks interval in test matches is 4 minutes. Interval between innings is 10 minutes. So governing body decide on these lengths. Similarly, in South Africa, Cricket South Africa is the governing body of provincial cricket in South Africa. So in the 4-day provincial competitions in the Division 1 and Division 2, even Coles cricket, the intervals for lunch is also 40 minutes. They've mimicked the test match length. Tea is also for 20 minutes. Drinks, 4 minutes. Interval between innings, 10 minutes. So point I'm trying to make, governing body of cricket for that particular competition, they decide on the length of these scheduled intervals. So in the laws don't tell us how long the interval should be. That they leave up to the governing body. All the law tells us is players must enjoy their full interval. Well, let's say it's lunch, they must enjoy a 40-minute interval. And we, the umpires, needs to make sure that from the time when the session ends to the time when the session recommences, let's say after lunch, that break needs to be 40 minutes. I'll give you an example to illustrate what how the law is guiding us to make sure that we need to enjoy the exact length of whatever our interval should be. In our test match, South Africa, Zimbabwe, play on day 1, play starts at 10 o'clock. We know lunch is from 12 till 12:40. So now we get to 12 o'clock. The umpire look at his or her watch, seeing it's exactly 12 o'clock. The final ball of the over gets bowled. What will the umpire now do? Umpire will now call over, time, and will tell the players, let's go and enjoy lunch. So this is now exactly 12 o'clock. So now the law tells us, since we took lunch at 12 o'clock, we call time at 12 o'clock. Players must enjoy, okay, and umpires as well. We also must enjoy our lunch. So players and umpires needs to enjoy a 40-minute lunch break. So if we took lunch at 12 o'clock, we call time at 12 o'clock, we will, first ball after lunch needs to be bowled at exactly 12:40. Another example, it's not always that you're in exactly at 12 o'clock, and we'll see in next law that sometimes you get to 12 o'clock and it's midway through the over. But we'll see in the next law that if you get to 12 o'clock and we're midway through the over, we first need to complete the over before we take a lunch. So now we get to 12, we look at our watch, but we only bowled 3 balls in the over. So now we first need to complete that over. So now after completing that 3 balls, we look at our watch and we see it's now 12:03. Now we say end of the over, so it's over, and we say time, and then we inform the players it will now be lunch. But we call time at 12:03. So this is where the law comes in. Yes, we took lunch at 12:03, but players must enjoy a 40-minute lunch. So the first ball now after lunch will be bowled at 12:43. 40-minute lunch interval. I mentioned in the previous slide that the change of innings interval is 10 minutes. Yes, the law tells us change of innings to be 10 minutes. What the lawmakers decided when it comes to our intervals, our lunch and our tea intervals, they allowed for flexibility of lunch and tea. So yes, according to the playing conditions, lunch to be at 12 o'clock and let's say tea to be at 3 o'clock. I'm just using round numbers. But the law allows for some flexibility when it comes to these timings. Why do they allow for some flexibility? Excuse me, to make sure that we try to maximize play during the day, to play as much cricket as possible during the day. So let's look at the first flexibility that the lawmakers brought into the lunch interval. So what they did was, we know our lunch is at 12 o'clock in our test match, and I'm just using it as an example. So lunch at 12 o'clock. So now the law tells us, if due to adverse conditions, and I'll use rain as an example, if we stop play due to rain and players leave the field, and this is 10 minutes or less to go to lunch, we will then take lunch immediately. And we will enjoy our 40-minute lunch, and if conditions permit, we will resume play 40 minutes later. I'll use an example to illustrate what the law is trying to say. So 12 o'clock in our test match is lunch. At 11:52, it starts to rain and players leaves the field. So what now? So this is where the law comes in, and this one in particular, where we can activate this particular law and try to save some time where the law tells us. So if it rains 10 minutes or less to lunch, and in our example, it was 8 minutes to go to lunch, we can then take an early lunch. So we took lunch at 11:52. So now we know lunch is 40 minutes. So if conditions permit, we need to come back after lunch at 11:32, 40 minutes later, obviously if conditions permit. If it's still raining, then yeah, unfortunately we have to stay off the field. So this is a time-saving mechanism that the lawmakers brought in for us to save a bit of time, to maximize play during the day. So this is the flexibility that the lawmakers brought into when it comes to our lunch interval. Similarly, when it comes to tea, also some flexibility. Here, If we need to leave the field due to adverse conditions of ground, weather, light, and I'll use the rain as an example, and it is 30 minutes or less to go to tea, we will take an early tea. It's actually the same principle as the lunch if it rains, but the only difference here is, if I can take you back to the previous slide, if it rains 10 minutes or less to lunch, we'll take an early lunch. Tea is if it rains 30 minutes or less to tea, we'll take an early tea. I'll give you an example to illustrate this. Let's use, say, our tea is at 3 o'clock. At 14:35, it starts to rain. What happens next? Here the law tells us, please activate this particular clause, because since we left the field 25 minutes to go to lunch, and because this is 30 minutes or less to go to tea, we will now take tea immediately at 14:35. Tea will then be from 14:35 up until 14:55. Again, flexibility that the lawmakers brought into when it comes to our tea interval, where they tell us our tea is at 3 o'clock. And let's say it starts raining at 14:10, which is now 50 minutes to go to tea. So can we take tea at this stage? No, not, because it's 50 minutes to go to tea. We saw in the previous slide, if it rains 30 minutes to go to tea, we can take an early tea. But this is now 50 minutes to go till tea. So now we cannot take an early tea. But now what the law tells us is, let's say it's still raining at 14:30. So at 14:30, we can now take an early tea. We can bring tea forward by 30 minutes. Again, just flexibility and time saving to try to play as much cricket as possible during the day. Some more flexibility that the lawmakers brought into the laws, and this is when a side is 9 wickets down at your lunch or your tea interval. So there's lots of stats over the years that shows, usually, and no disrespect to the number 10 and number 11 batters, but the stats that show that last wicket partnership don't usually bat for that long. So because of that, the lawmakers decided, seeing that we know that last wicket doesn't usually bat for too long. So now, to save a bit of time, what they've done is, but the side must be 9 wickets down if you either get to your lunch or tea interval. So now, if a side is 9 wickets down, the law now tells us, don't take, and I'll use lunch as an example, but the same principle will apply to tea. Don't take lunch at 12 o'clock if a side is 9 down. Delay the play for a max of 30 minutes. Let's see if the fielding side can take that 10th wicket. Because if they can, we can save a bit of time. And how do we save time? So if they do take the 10th wicket within 30 minutes, we can then take lunch. We can then incorporate the change of innings interval into our lunch interval. So we save 10 minutes. I'll give you an example to illustrate how this works. So our lunch is at 12 o'clock. We get to 12 o'clock. The umpire look at his or her watch. They see it's 12. The final ball gets bowled. But South Africa is 500 for 9. So now what happens? Now the law tells us, because South Africa is 9 down, and again emphasis on the side must be 9 down, and because South Africa is 9 down, we need to delay play for a max of 30 minutes to see, let's see if Zimbabwe can take that last wicket. So in two scenarios, so we know 12 o'clock, South Africa is 500 for 9, we must play a max of 30 minutes. So now we play on. And at 12:10, Zimbabwe take the 10th wicket. So what happens now? So at 12:10, we will now take lunch time at 12:10. So lunch will be 40 minutes from 12:10 till 12:50. What we will now do is, since we're in lunch and Zimbabwe needs to come back after lunch, we will now incorporate the change of innings interval into our lunch interval. We're saving time. So that's the one scenario. So where Zimbabwe took the wickets within that 30 minutes. But this scenario 2, Zimbabwe is not able to take the 10th South African wicket in that 30 minutes. So 12 o'clock, we allow play to continue because South Africa was 9 down. We get to 12:30 and South Africa is still 9 down. What happens now? So now the law tells us we need to draw the line somewhere. We allowed a maximum of 30, seeing that the fielding side could not take the 10th South African wicket within that 30 minutes. Now at 12:30, we will now take lunch. We will now take lunch at 12:30. Lunch will be 40 minutes. And first ball after lunch will be bowled at 13:10. So law 12 covers start of play. How do you end play? The law guides us exactly. How does the game start? How do we end the game? How do we end a session? How do we end a day's play? The law guides us. So before we get to how we start the game, I mean, this paint a picture what happens in, let's use our test match as an example. So day 1 will start at 10 o'clock. Toss will take place between 9:30 and 9:15. And let's say South Africa won the toss and they decided they're going to have a bat in this test match. So play will start at 10 o'clock. So now, to make sure that the first ball gets bowled at 10 o'clock, the umpires will take the field at 9:55, 5 minutes before 10. So after the umpires takes the field, and the umpires then choose their respective ends that they're going to stand, the fielding side then take the field. And the fielding side then decide which end they're going to bowl from and who's going to open the bowling. And then the batters takes the field, and the two of them is going to decide who's going to face the first ball. So this all happens 5 minutes prior to 10 o'clock. So now we get to 10 o'clock. Bowlers in umpire will then check if everyone's ready. Bowlers in umpire will check with the scorers. Scorers, are you ready? Bowlers in umpire will wave to the scorers. Scorers will wave back, or if you're at international or provincial grounds, there's usually a light that the scorers indicate that where they acknowledge our signal. So scorers waves. Scorers wave back, acknowledging the signal. So scorers were happy. We will then ask the fielding captain if he is ready to start the game. Fielding captain indicates, yes, I am ready. Then we will ask the batters, the striker, you ready? Striker indicates, yes, I'm ready, umpire. Then what will the umpire do? Bowlers in umpire will then call play, verbally, loudly call it. And that call of play indicates the start of the match. Similarly, after lunch, bowlers in umpire will do the same thing. After resumption of play due to a rain interruption, we'll do exactly the same thing. So the call of play indicates the start of the match or the start of a session. So now we know how play starts. So how do we end a session or end of the day or even the match? By the call of time. And again, here the bowlers in umpire needs to call time as soon as the ball is dead, before any interval or interruption, or at the end of the game. I'll use an example to illustrate this. Our lunch is at 12 o'clock in our test match. Bowler bowls the 6th ball of the over. Umpire looks at his or her watch. They see it's 12 o'clock. Umpire then will call over, time, and inform the players we can go and enjoy lunch. So there will be a call of time when the ball is dead, and this call of time indicate that the session is now at an end, or there's now an interruption, or we're at the end of the game. So as soon as the bowler's end umpire calls time, bails needs to be removed from both ends. So in my previous example, when we get to 12 o'clock, bowlers and umpire calls overtime and lunch. Bowlers and umpire will then remove the bails from the bowlers end, and the strikers and umpire needs to remove the bails from the strikers end. Starting off a new over. So in our test match, the test match cricket have 2-hour sessions. So the morning session would be from 10 till 12. So now the fielding side needs to try to bowl as many overs between 10 and 12. So now in instances where let's say you get to 11:59 and it's now the end of the over. So now what happens? We know lunch is at 12 o'clock, but we get to 11:59 and it's now the end of the over. So now the law guides us by telling us, yes, it's 11:59 and you cannot take lunch yet because it's not 12 o'clock. But now it's like 1 minute to go. Do we want to start an over with 1 minute to go? The law tells us, yes, what you need to do is you need to see if the two umpires walking at a normal pace and then the bowlers and umpire gets to behind the stumps before the clock strikes 12 o'clock, we need to start a new over. If the bowlers and umpire doesn't get behind the stump before 12, it will then be lunch. But if he or she gets behind the stumps before 12, we need to start another over. Earlier I mentioned that we need to complete the over. Even if we get to 12 o'clock and we're midway through the over, we cannot take lunch. We must complete the over first. There is an exception. And what is that exception? That exception is if something happens with less than 3 minutes to go. And what is this something? A batter gets dismissed, or a batter retires, or players needs to leave the field. And this is within 3 minutes to go till our interval. We will then take the interval. I'll use an example to illustrate point 5.2. Excuse me. Our lunch is at 12 o'clock. At 11:58, Zimbabwe lose a wicket. Let's say they lose their fourth wicket at 11:58. So now this is now 2 minutes to go to lunch. So what now happens? Must a new batter come in and to face a ball, seeing that we're 2 minutes from lunch? The law guides us here by telling us if a batter is dismissed, like in our example, but it must be with less than 3 minutes to go to our interval, to our lunch interval. If that is the case, we can then take a slightly earlier lunch. So in our example, since the wicket fell at 11:58 and this being less than 3 minutes to go to our lunch interval, we will take lunch at 11:58. We know lunch is 40 minutes, so if we took lunch at 11:58, the first ball after lunch needs to be bowled at 12:38. And let's say the bowler took the ball off the third ball of the over. The bowler took the wicket off the third ball of the over. So now we just midway through the over. So what happens to that over? Yes, we stopped midway, and 11:58, because it's less than 3 to go to lunch, we'll take early lunch. When we come back after lunch at 12:38, we first need to complete that over that we were busy with. There were still 3 balls left in that over. So that bowler still first needs to complete that 3 balls. And then after completing that over, now we can start a new over. Law 13 covers the innings. And again, we're focusing on more-day cricket. And in Test match cricket, they play 2 innings per side. Cricket South Africa's Division 1 and 2, also 2 innings per side. Colts cricket, also 2 innings per side. But the law caters for more-day cricket, even to be played over 1 innings. The law caters for it. But currently, Test match, provincial cricket in South Africa gets played over 2 innings. But there is the option to play a one innings game, as long as this is made before the match. The law is also flexible in terms of you can agree to limit any innings to a number of overs or a number of time. I'll use an example. Let's say you play a game, it's over two innings, and it's only, let's say, played over 2 days. Like here in the West in Cape Town, about 7-8 years ago, we still used to play 2-day cricket over 2 Saturdays. So the agreement or the playing condition that was in place for that particular competition was they limited the first innings of both sides to 60 overs. That is what the playing condition stated. So yes, the law allows for it. You can even limit it to a period of time. You can decide teams for your first innings, you can only allow to bat 3 hours, 2 hours, whatever. As long as that agreement is made before the game, and then the law guides us further by telling us if it is a one innings game and you do decide to limit the innings, please make sure that both bat the same innings. You cannot have one side bat 60 overs and the other side bat 80 overs if it is a one innings game. If it's a 2 innings match, you can limit both innings, only one innings, depending on whatever your agreement is. All I'm saying is there is flexibility in the law to make these type of agreements, but if you just look at Test cricket for now and provincial cricket in South Africa, there are no such limitations. Sides can bat in both the innings, how long they want, how many overs they want. The law wants innings to be taken alternately. You cannot, a captain cannot come to you and say, Umpire, let my team bat both our innings in one go. Let us bat our first innings and we'll bat our second innings. Then we know we're done. Then the other side, they can then bat their first innings and second innings in one go, then they're done. The law does not allow for that. The law wants you to take your innings alternately. So South Africa needs to go bat, then Zimbabwe, then South Africa go bat in their second innings, then Zimbabwe go bat in their second innings. There are two exceptions. And what are they? In cases of follow-on, and we're going to get to that in the next law. And also if a team should forfeit their innings. So usually you need to take your innings alternately, but if a side must go follow on, then a side can go bat again. Or if there is a forfeiture, they can go bat, but we'll get to that in the next two laws. What is seen as a completed innings? When is a side innings done? As soon as the side's all out, that you take the 10th wicket, side is all out, that innings is done. A wicket fell or a batter retire and there's still balls to be bowled, but there's no batters to come in, that innings is also done. As soon as a captain declares an innings done. As soon as a captain forfeits an innings is completed, innings done. And in the previous slide, we spoke about if there was an agreement to either limit an innings to a number of overs or a period of time. Soon as we have reached that number of overs or that period of time, innings is done. So when it comes to the toss, so let's see who needs to be there. Let's see where this toss takes place. And let's see what the laws say about the timings of the toss. So let's first look at who needs to be there. When it comes to the toss, the law wants both captains to be there. That's non-negotiable. Both of them needs to be there. Who else needs to be there? At least one umpire, preferably both. We want both umpires to be there if they're available. But if, let's say, one umpire gets stuck in traffic, but there is still one at the ground, no issue, the toss can still take place. So now we know who needs to be there. Both captains, both umpires, or unless one is not available, but at least one. Where does the toss take place? According to the law, anywhere on the field of play. So where's anywhere on the field of play? The moment you put your foot across the boundary, then you're on the field of play. So technically, as per the law, the toss can take place as soon as you put your foot over the boundary, right there on the boundary edge inside the field of play. That's according to the law, but we all know customary for many, many years. Where does the toss usually take place? The toss takes place right next to the match pitch. That is customary, and we all follow that custom throughout the world. What about the timings of the toss? There's a 15-minute window period for the toss to take place. 1-5. So in our test match, with day one starting at 10 o'clock, what is this window period for the toss to take place? Anytime between 9:30 and 9:15, 9:45. So you can toss at 9:30, you can toss at 9:35, you can toss at 9:40, you can toss at 9:45 if you want to. There's a 15-minute window period for the toss. The law also wants the captain that won the toss, as soon as the toss is done, whoever won it needs to notify the opposing captain immediately whether they're going to bat or bowl. That captain cannot be telling you, umpire, just give me a second, let me go discuss this with my coach and my team. I'll get back to you whether we're going to bat or bowl. You need to tell that captain, you should have had that conversation before coming to the toss. Now the toss is completed. You won the toss. You need to notify us now immediately. Are you going to bat or bowl? And once the decision to bat or bowl has been made, captain then cannot change it afterwards. Penultimate law that I'm covering this afternoon is the follow-on law. So in cricket, there is this concept of asking the side to follow on. When can this happen? So in a 2-innings match that spans 5 days or more, which an example is Test match cricket. Test match cricket is the only cricket that gets played over 5 days. So in a 2-innings match of 5 days or more, the side that batted first and after both first innings are completed, they lead by at least 200 runs. And if that is the case, the option for that captain that's leading by at least 200 runs is on the table to ask the other side to follow on to go bat again. The option is on the table. The captain does not have to take up the option. If the captain feels, no, I don't want the side to go follow on, I would like to go bat again in my second innings, absolutely no issue. Captain can do it. But if the lead after both innings, first innings are completed and the lead is at least 200 runs, captain has the option to ask the side to follow on. But we all know that not all 2-innings matches spans over 5 days. Like here in South Africa, Division 1 and Division 2, they play their provincial cricket over 4 days. Colts cricket gets played over 3 days. So in that case, 150 runs is what the first innings lead needs to be to enforce the follow on. In a 2-day match, 100 runs need to be the lead. In a 1-day game, 75 runs needs to be the lead. As soon as the captain decided to enforce the follow on, the captain decided, yes, I want that other side to follow on or not to follow on, depending on what the captain decided. Soon as that captain decided, EOC needs to inform the opposing captain, and once that decision has been made, you cannot change it later on. And lastly, on this law, if the first day's play is lost, but it must be the first day's play that is lost. Emphasis on the first day. And if that is the case, you then need to look at the remaining days left in your game, and that will determine your follow on, what the follow on lead needs to be. That's the theory. Let's use a practical example to show how the theory works. So let's use our test match Zimbabwe, South Africa. We know test match spans over 5 days. Day one, it's raining. The whole of day one gets rained out. Not a single ball gets bowled. No play day one. We get to the morning of day two, nice, bright and sunshine. Play can then start 10 o'clock on day two. So now what the law is telling us is, if we do lose the first day, and again emphasis on the first day, the whole of the first day's play is lost. We now look at the remaining days left in the test match. So in our test match, there are 4 days remaining. So now when it comes to the follow-on lead, we need to look at what the follow-on lead is for a 4-day game. And this is 150 run. So the lead needs to be at least 150 in my example of our test match now for the side to follow on. But it must be the first day's play that is lost. Last law that I'm covering before I'm handing over to Tom for some Q&A. And this law covers declaration and forfeiture. The law allows for a captain to declare his or her innings at any time whenever the ball is dead. So the batting captain, while that innings is in progress, batting captain can declare as soon as the ball is dead that innings at any time. And it usually happens if the captain feels he or she has enough runs on the board. It usually happens in cases where, now you use an example, let's say South Africa and Zimbabwe. South Africa batted first in their first innings and is on, let's say, 700 for 2. Captain then decided, I think I've got enough runs on the board here. Captain then decides, okay, batted in long enough in my first innings, I would then like to declare. And that's usually when a declaration happens. Doesn't have to be a huge total, but that's usually when it happens. So the law allows for a captain. I've got enough runs on the board. I'm happy to declare my innings, even though we only lost 2 wickets. So as soon as that declaration is made, you will inform the opposing captain that South Africa has declared. Zimbabwe will now need to go bat. Similarly, the law also allows for forfeiture of an innings. There's not many forfeitures over the years, but it is in the law, and the law allows for a captain to forfeit either of his or her side's innings before the commencement of that innings. And then lastly, if a captain do decide to declare or a captain do decide to forfeit an innings, as soon as that decision is made and they inform the umpires, umpire, I'm declaring, we will then inform the opposing captain. As soon as you've made that call, you cannot later on saying, umpire, I don't want to declare anymore. No, as soon as it's made, once notified, that decision then cannot be changed afterwards. Tom, that's all I'm covering today. Thank you so much. Handing back to you.
Thank you very much, Abdullah. I hope the candidates have learnt from the first 15 laws that we have delivered. And I see there's a very keen student who has come up with a full over of questions for us, Abdullah. 6 questions coming from Inati Pedro Nkrozwana. So let's take them all for Inati. Question number 1. Can a player who has been substituted out of the game re-enter the game in a different role? Abdullah, can we maybe talk about substitutes and replacements and what is the difference between those two, and can they come back into the game or not?
Yes, Tom. Let's first start with replacement players. The law allows for replacement players, Inati. So what is a replacement player? And I'll use an example. It will much better illustrate how this law works. Again, I'll use, let's say, our test match as an example, Zimbabwe, South Africa. So day one will start at 10 o'clock. I've just covered that the toss will take place between 9:30 and 9:15. So at the toss, captains will come to the toss with their nomination seats. They've nominated their players. The toss will then take place. They'll hand the nomination seats to the match referee in Test match cricket. In club cricket, they'll give it to the umpires. Then toss took place, but we all know while the toss is taking place, the rest of the team will be warming up on the outfield. So toss took place at 9:30, and let's say South Africa wins the toss. They decide to go bat. At about 9:35, one of the players, let's say, break a finger. Let's say one of the South African players break a finger. Now the captain comes to you saying, umpire, unfortunately, one of my players just broke a finger. You know what? Can we replace this player? Because with this broken finger, this player is not able to even hold the bat. So can we replace the player with someone else? The answer to that question is yes. The law allows for us to replace the player, but there is a condition, and that condition is we, the umpires, together with the captain that's asking for the player to be replaced, we need to go to the opposing captain. So we need to go to the captain of Zimbabwe and ask the captain of Zimbabwe, player X have just broken their finger. They're not able to hold the bat. They're out of the game. Can we replace this player with someone else? The law wants you to give permission. If you say yes, we can then replace this player. If you say no, unfortunately, then we cannot replace the player. That is the law. That is a condition that is in place as per the law on whether a player can be replaced or not. So let's say the Zimbabwean captain agree. Okay, umpires captain of South Africa, no issue. I'm allowing you to replace this player. So now, what will now happen? On the team sheet, we'll scratch out that player's name that got injured. We will now put the replacement player's name on there. So a new player is going to come in. We will replace that player, and this replacement player will have full power in this game. And what I mean by full power is this replacement player is allowed to bat. This replacement player is allowed to bowl. He's allowed to field. He can take full part in this particular game because he can take full part in the game. And the player that's now they've been replaced is now out of the game. Cannot now take part in this game at all anymore. That player now needs to sit out. So that is firstly a replacement player, and the law allows for it. And I've just explained the powers that a replacement player do have. When it comes to substitutes, Inati, substitutes are different. So we'll see in next week when it comes to a substitute. But I'll briefly explain now the powers that a substitute have. The law allows for a substitute player, and when is it? If a player becomes injured or ill, and it happens during the game, the law allows for that player to get a substitute while that player gets treatment. So practically what will happen, let's say a player comes to you and say, umpire, I've just tweaked my hamstring, it's just a bit stiff. Can I go off to get the physio just to give me some treatment on my hamstring? You as the umpire will say, no issue. You take down the player's name, you take down the time the player goes off and the reason, and you'll then allow a substitute to come on for that player while that player is getting treatment. So this substitute that now came on for the injured player, while that substitute is on the field of play, that substitute does not have full power. That substitute have limited powers. That substitute's only allowed to field. That substitute cannot bowl. That substitute cannot bat. That substitute cannot be captain. Yes, the substitute can be keeper, but with the consent of the opposing, consent of the umpires. So, substitute limited powers while they're on the field. Later on, if the fielder is fit again and comes back and the substitute goes off, yes, that fielder that came back on, that fielder obviously is part of the nomination list and will have full power again. But substitutes have limited power. Replacement player have full power. Tom, I hope I've covered everything. Over.
I'm sure you have. And if Inati is not happy with that answer, he can raise his hand and we can talk about it further. I'm going to move on to Inati's second question. Can an umpire change their decision after consulting with the third umpire? So, Abdullah, I think maybe let's answer this for a club cricket match where there is no third umpire. Can a umpire change their decision? And then we can also answer it with a televised game where there is a third umpire who is the TV umpire. When does the TV umpire intervene, please?
So, Inati, let's start with club cricket where there's no TV. So, firstly, the law allows for an umpire to change his or her decision as long as it's made promptly. Meaning, if you made a decision and quickly you realize, oh, I made a mistake, the law allows for you to change it. But in the umpiring world, credibility is, important. Confidence in that umpire is important. If you are going to start changing your decisions, every week, word will get around that Abdullah is an umpire that changes his decisions regularly. Players will then be all over you. They will put pressure on you to change your decision. So yes, the law allows for a decision to be changed, but be careful in changing a decision because your credibility as an umpire, will be questioned. Players won't have faith in you. They will then put pressure on you week in, week out. Also in club cricket, where we don't have TV, and I see you mentioned the word about consulting. So the law allows for umpires to consult on certain decisions. But certain decisions, there are some decisions where you need to make the call where you cannot consult, but there are decisions that you can consult. Let's first focus on decisions that you're not allowed to consult. Let's say there's a court behind appeal, so you cannot move over to your colleague and ask your colleague or consult your colleague, did you hear an edge? And your colleague say, yeah, I heard it. And now you give the batter out. On those court behind calls, you need to make your decision on your own. You cannot consult in those things. LBW, you cannot stop and say, just give me a second. Let me just go chat to my colleague. I want to ask his or her opinion, and then I'll give my decision. No, you need to make your decision. But there are instances where you can consult. Like example, the batter hits the ball to first slip takes it low to the ground. You as bowlers and umpire was unsighted because the bowler was in between you and the slip fielder. So in this instance, because you were unsighted, you're not sure whether the ball carried or not. So this is an example of when you can go and consult your colleague. So you can walk over to your colleague, discuss, get confirmation, did the ball carry to first slip? If yes, you can then give the batter out. If your colleague says no, the ball didn't carry, it bounced, you're then going to go not out. So this is just an example of where you can consult. So yes, there are instances where you can consult, and there's definitely instances where you're not allowed to consult. That's just two examples. There are many more that I can give you, but I just wanted to focus on those two. In terms of when there is a TV umpire involved, we've seen in international cricket that they do allow player reviews. So there is that system in place where players can challenge your your decision, and you can then go upstairs to ask the TV umpire to have a look at the decision you made, and if technology shows it's correct decision, you then stay with your on-field decision. If technology shows it's an incorrect decision, you then will change your decision. In televised games, you also the umpires are also allowed to check runouts or stumpings. So if there is a tight run out or a tight stumping, you can go upstairs and ask the TV umpire to please check whether the batter is run out or not. So those are just, again, there's lots of examples, or just 2 examples of in televised games when you can consult and when you're not, and also on the field when you can and when you can't. Tom, I hope I answered the question.
100%, Abdullah. Thank you very much. Next question. Can a team request a new ball if the current one is deemed unsatisfactory? And who has the right to say that in the team? So I'll take this one, Abdullah. While you are answering the previous question, I went and got myself a ball gauge as well as a ball. So in our team, the ball can only be changed if it is lost or if it goes out of shape. And the way that we check if a ball is out of shape is to put it through the ball gauge. Now you'll see that this ball gauge has got 2 rings. One of them is a bigger ring than the other one. The ball, when it is correctly sized and shaped, needs to go through the big ring, which this one does, and it should not go through the smaller ring, which it doesn't. That means this ball is still the correct size and the correct shape for men's cricket. If the ball goes through the small ring, then it is too small. If it does not go through the big ring, then it means that it's too big or it's out of shape. And only in those circumstances will we allow a change of ball. Who can ask whether they can get a ball changed? Usually the bowler will complain, but we prefer, or at least the captain should be the one representing his or her team to come to the umpires with the ball saying that they're not happy with the condition of the ball. Then we will need to use our ball gauge to check if the ball is still in shape and correct size. We can also change the ball if the seam has become too wet. And also we could change the ball if there is a major scratch or dent from the ball, maybe hitting a cement brick outside the field or whatever the case might be. Please note that if and when we do change a ball, it will not be a new ball that replaces an old ball. It will be a ball that is of similar wear and tear to the ball that is being replaced, obviously before that damaging instant where we need to change the ball. So yes, the ball can be changed on request, but only if it is out of shape or there's been a bad scratch or dent to the ball, and the bowler or the captain usually request that change. Question number 4. Can a bat be repaired during a match? Abdullah, I've never seen a bat being repaired unless it's a quick piece of tape. Time-wise, if we were to allow a bat to be repaired, how long would we allow the repairs to take on the field of play? Abdullah, can you take that one first? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, there was connectivity issues, Tom. Which number should I answer?
Question number 4. Can a bat be repaired during play?
Yes, I can take that one, no problem. So, Inati, yes. But if it's minor repairs, if your bat is broken, obviously that bat needs to be, if it's a crack in the bat needs to be replaced. But yes, we will allow minor repairs. Let's say the batter wants just some batting tape to be put on a small piece that came loose, absolutely no issue. We'll allow a minute or two for the bat to be repaired. But if it's a major thing, bat is broken, obviously that bat needs to be replaced. But yeah, definitely we can allow a minute or two just to get some batting tape quickly on the bat. Batters love their bat; they've got favorite bats, and many of them. So just to put a piece the batting tape on, it will take a minute or two. Absolutely no issue. Over, Tom.
Thanks, Tula. I'll take question number 5. Can a player appeal against a decision if they believe the crease is not marked correctly? So in RT, it is the umpire's duties before the match to measure the length of the pitch, to measure the creases, and also to measure the fielding restriction circle if we are playing a limited overs match. So when a game starts, we need to be sure that the measurements of the creases are correct. If a pitch is longer than 20.12 meters or shorter than 20.12 meters by between 1 and 30 centimeters, it is not considered significant. So we will make the players aware at the toss by informing the captains that the pitch is maybe 15 centimeters too long, but it is the same for both teams, and we will play accordingly throughout the match with the pitch 15 centimeters too long. If a pitch is more than 30 centimeters or less than 30 centimeters too short or too long, then before the match, we will need to correct that, because now it is a significant distance out from the required 20.12 meters. So that is one of the reasons why we need to be at the field. Law says at least 45 minutes before the scheduled start of a match, so that we can measure the length of the pitch, measure the creases, and measure the fielding restriction circle. So if it is more than 30 centimeters too long or more than 30 centimeters too short, we need to change it. It does take a long time to remark creases, and that is why if it's less than 30 centimeters too short or too long, we won't change it. But to answer your question, the creases, if they are also slightly out, we won't change them. If they are significantly out, then we will change them and correct them before the start of play. Whichever the case, we will inform both teams, and they will not be allowed to argue as to whether the crease lengths are a little bit out or a lot out. They have to play as is. It is the same for both teams. Last question by Inati Abdullah. Can a game flow be affected by intervals? Interesting question.
So Inati, I would say yes, especially let's say if a batter is going strongly, and we see it so often where batters going, for the runs are flowing off the bat, and suddenly let's say there's a drinks interval, and then that batter gets dismissed immediately after drinks. Similarly, batting well up until lunch, and then after lunch, we lunch is 40 minutes, and then suddenly after lunch the batter is nowhere and gets dismissed. So yeah, the game flow can be affected by intervals, but intervals are a crucial part of the game. We cannot expect players to play 6.5, 7 hours non-stop. We need to put, let's say, petrol into the car to keep the car going. So we need to put back, any energy that we lost. So we need to eat as well. So to answer the question, yes, it can be affected, but intervals is crucial and it's part of the game. So so players, they need the interval. They're used to them. They just adjust accordingly. Like after an interval, they know sometimes maybe take it a bit slow initially until you get your eye back in, and then put foot on the gas again. Over, Tom.
Thanks, Dula. A question from Luco. Can an umpire be changed during the match? And if so, Abdullah, under what circumstances would an umpire be changed?
So, Luco, yes, the law allows for an umpire to be changed. Anything can happen. An umpire can become injured, can become ill. There could be exceptional circumstances why an umpire needs to leave. Maybe wife giving birth, or death in the family. So there are instances, and those are the 3: injured, ill, or exceptional circumstances where umpire needs to be replaced. Yes, the law allows for it, but the law puts conditions on if you do decide to replace an umpire. And what is that condition? The condition is, if you do decide to replace an umpire due to injury, illness, this new umpire only to stand at the striker's end. There is a but here, and that but is, unless the both captains agree that this new umpire will give him or her full power, and then if both captains give the new umpire full power, then that umpire can stand at bowlers or at strikers end. But otherwise, yes, we can change. There is a condition, that umpire only to stand at strikers end unless both captains agree. Over, Tom.
Thanks, Tula. The next question is an admin question from Pedney. How do we mark today's register? Is there any link? Pedney, Microsoft Teams generates an automatic register when the meeting ends. I will receive that on email since I'm the organizer of the meeting, and I will send that register to all the hub head coaches. So everybody who has logged on individually for this meeting will be on the Microsoft Teams meeting register. If you are sitting in your hub and you are watching this together, then the hub head coach should have a physical register that you can all sign. But those of you who are logging on individually on your own phones or on your own laptops or computers, you do not need to sign a register. There will be a register automatically generated by Microsoft Teams. Abdullah, I see we have a competition as to who can ask the most questions. Inati set the tone, and Siabonga has followed with his 6 questions. First question, how does penalty runs work? Siabonga, we will be going through 40 out of the 42 laws in the law book, and throughout the laws we will get to how a team is awarded penalty runs. Is it awarded to the batting side, and is it awarded to the fielding side? So you will find out in later lectures how and when penalty runs are awarded. Question number 2, which clock is used during the match? any clock can be used during the match as long as it is visible to everyone. If there is no stadium clock, Siabonga, then the umpires will use their watches as the official clock or timepiece for the match. And that's why it's important for the umpires and the scorers to all synchronize their watches before the start of the match so that we all have the same time that we use during a match. Abdullah, question number 3, I'm going to give to you. What will happen if both scorers have different scores and do not agree? Tricky one, that.
And Tom, and that's why, and you mentioned it, why it's so important for scorers to sit next to each other. And the law actually makes it a point. It tells scorers, please frequently check your records and make sure they agree. And why is that in the law for this exact scenario? We don't want to get to the end of the game and the scores don't tie up. But what do they do? And it happens occasionally. It doesn't happen every week, but occasionally it happens where scores does not tie up. So umpires, as soon as the game is done, we need to go to the scorers and just double check with them. Are your books balancing? Your scores tying up? Because if they're not tying up, we need to go find why they're not tying up. So it could be a long evening because you need to go check. You need to go back in that book and check from where the scores are not in sync. So yeah, you need to go sit. Umpires, both umpires and scorers will need to go sit down and find where the error is. And if let's say if it's the end of the game and there's still runs to be scored, teams have to then go back and score those runs. So yeah, vital for scorers to sit next to each other, to frequently check their records, their scores, as to not to get into this position, because it can be painful to go back and look at every single over where the problem is. Over, Tom.
Thanks, Tula. Question number 4. Why do bat manufacturers make bats that are not allowed to be used in a match? So, Siabonga, the bat size limits came into the law book in 2017, and obviously all bat manufacturers were made aware of those bat size limits. So they do not generally make bats which are too big, unless a player makes a special request for a bat that is not going to fit through the bat gauge. I would suggest that the bat manufacturers do not make bats that do not fit through bat gauges, but sometimes they do. So we can't dictate to bat manufacturers what they can and can't do. We just need to randomly check batters' bats if we suspect that their bat might be too large. Question number 5. What will happen if both captain and deputy are not available while the coach, will the coach be able to play? Abdullah, we mentioned that only a nominated player on the team sheet 11 is able to discharge the duties of a captain in the absence of the captain. So what if there's no captain and there's no vice captain? Who is going to act as captain?
Bonga, so at the toss, the law wants one of the nominated players to come to the toss if both captain and his or her deputy is not available. The coach can select the team. The law allows for that. But when it comes to the toss, it must be one of the nominated players. The coach is not allowed to come and conduct the toss. So they need to choose one of those, the other 9 players, to come and do the toss. So Tom, is he referring to just the toss, or can coach come on and be a substitute? Is that perhaps maybe also something that he needs clarity on?
Yeah, it does ask, will the coach be able to play? So let's talk about the coach coming on as a substitute.
So Siyabonga, the law allows for the coach to come on and be a substitute. So coach not allowed to bat, not allowed to bowl, not allowed to captain. Yes, that coach can feel for a period of time as a substitute only. Over, Tom.
That's obviously if a player became ill or injured, the coach
Correct, yeah.
can field in that injured or ill player's place.
Yeah.
Last question from Siyabonga. What's the main reason for an umpire to cancel his or her signal, Abdullah?
Is Siyabonga referring to a decision, Tom, or just to cancel a signal?
It doesn't specify.
So I'll cover both. So Siyabonga, there are times where umpire needs to cancel a signal. One of those instances is, let's say, the bowler delivering the ball, front foot is over the line, umpire called no ball, but then the bowler doesn't deliver the ball. So the law tells us if that is the case, umpire then needs to call and signal dead ball and then needs to cancel that no ball signal. So that's just one example of when a call was made and umpire then needs to cancel the signal. There's lots of other examples. Canceling a decision, and we see it on TV. The option is there for player reviews, and if an umpire gets a decision wrong and technology shows that the umpire made an incorrect call, the umpire can then go to the umpire will then need to cancel that original signal and then show the new signal. Over, Tom.
Perfect. Thanks, Dulap. And thanks, Siyabonga, for all those questions. Glenn asks, where can we find the recorded conferences for this course? And if we can find it, is it possible for us to receive some study material, such as the slides for the preparation of the exams? So Glenn, all our lectures are being recorded and they will be uploaded to our YouTube channel as soon as possible after this lecture. When the upload has been completed onto the YouTube channel, I will send an email to all the candidates from Tuesday's class, from Wednesday's class, from today's class, with a link to the recording of the lecture. And then I will also on that email attach the presentation that we are using for all 3 lectures. And I will also attach a copy of the law book in terms of the digital PDF version. So you will have all of that to use to study for your exam, and you will not miss any course material, whether you miss a lecture or not. So fear not, you are covered in terms of course material, and I will send everything in the next 3 hours because it does take quite a while to download the recording from Microsoft Teams and upload the recording onto YouTube. So that also answers Michael Anderson's question. He asked, are you going to send the link of the book straight to our emails, or you'll plug it here? So the law book is available in digital PDF, and that is what I will attach to the email, along with a link to download the presentation, along with a link to view the recording of the lecture. So that, I hope, answers all your admin questions, and we've answered all your law questions. Thank you very much for your attendance and your interaction. Thank you very much to Abdullah as well for presenting and helping to answer all the questions. We will reconvene again next week, Thursday, same time, same place, same meeting link. Before we leave today, I'm going to give all of you an opportunity to switch on your cameras, and so that we can see all the faces who are going to become famous umpires in a few years' time. And we can also see who has got the most attendees in terms of the hubs around the country. You can tell us as well by shouting, unmuting your microphone and shouting the name of your hub for everybody to hear and everybody to cheer from the rest of the hubs. So thank you very much, everybody, for your attendance and your interaction. We will see you same time, same place next week, Thursday. Until then, have a good weekend when it comes. Thank you and goodbye from St. Helena. See you all next week.
Bye.